going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go.
Man, I feel good. And I feel even better because I got a gentleman here who was just kind enough to agree to come on board to my show. And when I pitched the idea to him, at first I was a little bit apprehensive. I wasn't too sure if he would even respond. But you got a gentleman who looks as good as him. He probably has his inbox blowing up. So I was hoping that my message didn't get buried somewhere in his inbox. But we have a gentleman who has been in the entertainment business, in particular show business, as an actor for many years. He is an artist and a professional actor. And without further ado, I present to you Mr. T.E. Terry Holmes. What's going on, good
sir? How's it going, Osiris?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I appreciate you coming on board, and I'm glad everything is good with your mom and that you were able to squeeze me into your schedule.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I'm pretty wide open, actually.
Yes, sir. And again, thank you for your patience. I know the other day we were scheduled to come on board, and then my children got sick, and I wasn't even able to come and message you until well after the fact. So I appreciate your patience
life
and your
happens.
generosity.
Life happens, and I actually, when I realized that you had a couple of little ones, I've been there myself, so I figured it had something to do with that. So yeah, no worries.
Yeah. No. Yes, sir. Now all of them are at school. They're all doing well now, and
good.
All three of them are better. They're not quite 100%, but they're good enough to go to school and bang it out. So they're good to go.
That's the important thing. Get them to school. Good education,
yes,
man.
Yeah, get your education and let me have my fun while my wife takes the rest. So, man, I'm ready to hop into this with you. Let's start from the beginning, right? So many people who want to get into show business have these ideas of what they would like to do. And for you in particular, you started out as an artist, right? With the crayon in your hand. And
that's right.
That's transcended both into being an artist and also an actor. So how far back can you remember? And it probably goes back to like because you're only 25 years old. So let's say 25 years ago, right? How far back did it go for when you realized you had a pencil or a crayon in your hand?
I could go all the way back. Yeah, just about all the way back. Almost to the day I was born. I like to tell I like to tell people I was born with a crayon in my head because I've been sketching and doodling and whatever ever since I was a little kid. And
yes, sir.
I had teachers in grade school, like when I was in second or third grade, I distinctly remember they were holding on to artwork I did in class because they said one of these days it's going to be something. So, I can go all the way up back on that. Now, the acting part of that actually came in fairly early too. When I was in elementary school, my aunt, who passed away earlier this year, she made me a whole bunch of hand puppets. I was really into hand puppets. And I used to do hand puppet shows in my classroom for book reports. And I'd do a one-man show, and they were a big hit with the kids. And that went on for probably about a year. That was like probably third grade. And then fourth grade, I started doing class plays, writing, producing, directed, starred in for book reports. And so I did like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer, Treasure Island, all that kind of stuff, and acted it out.
Yeah.
I drew up scenery and had it up on the walls, like a giant squid. We fought the giant squid and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and all that. And they were a hit. And that was really the beginning of my acting bug. And that went on for, through school. Junior high, I did some productions at school, again for multiple classes. I did a citywide production just before I moved to Bellingham from Seattle. This would have been probably around 76. I was about 14 years old. I played the part of Satan. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, in the temptation of Christ, where Christ is out in the desert for 40 days, 40 nights. I played the part of Satan, tempting him with I had a big rock, which I still have, where I tempted him, tried to change it into a loaf of bread and all that. And that drew people in from all over the city and across the state. And so that was a pretty big deal. And that was my first taste of something big. And then I moved to Bellingham, and things kind of turned from there. I was a duck out of water. Okay, I came in looking like an extra from an old Hell's Angel movie. I was into the bike thing, motorcycle thing. I had a leather jacket on. Yeah, I had a leather jacket on and all that, and they didn't know how to handle me. It was kind of a rich kid's school, and so I was kind of ostracized. And the drama department didn't want anything to do with me. They were very cliquish. And so I ended up drifting from that and drifted into other things in my life, took different journeys. And then 40 years on, just a couple of years ago, I came back to acting. Well, or about three or 4 years ago. Actually, it was during the pandemic. And I got a taste for it again, and near a close call. And with fame, and
Yeah.
and after I started pursuing it again, and so here we are.
Yeah. Yes, sir. What a beautiful story. And what I really love about this story is that it resonated with you as a child, right? In your youth. And part of the thing, right? Part of the reason why I even wanted to create this show was to keep the youth, the younger generation of creators and writers inspired, because as they grow, life happens, and sometimes, most times, their passion that they had, that fire, much like yourself, it can just drift away, and it can be so hard for it to come back. It's one of those concepts of it's harder to get in shape than to stay in shape, because once you have the routine going down, it's really not easy, but it's easier to kind of keep the rhythm down because you have the discipline. But once you're away from it for such a long period of time, it's hard to come back, and you may see signs that shows up throughout the years until you finally say, I'm going to bite that and let's see what happens. So what was that? Was that your experience throughout that hiatus from acting? How often were there signs that showed it in your life of saying, hey, we want you back. We need you back. Come back to us.
I tell you, I always had the dream. The dream of acting was always there. It always kind of would pop up, but I never really pursued it. I went through quite a situation as a kid with my father and stuff, and I had low self-esteem, believe it or not. And so I had to overcome that hurdle first, personally. The little voice whispers and self-doubt, right? And I had to overcome a lot of that. And so, I would get these urges and stuff, but it's like, I didn't know, I'm up here in Bellingham, and I don't know how well you know Bellingham, but it's got a little bit
I don't know well at all.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of an artsy scene and stuff, it's and everything, but I didn't know how to, if I'd lived in LA or Seattle, there's more opportunity. Okay. So I didn't know how to pursue it. I was kind of lost on that. And so I just kind of would push it all off. And then, opportunity came a knocking, like I said, during the pandemic. I was in, down in Southern California. I had a woman I was dating, long distance, and I'd go down there and during the pandemic, and we were at Starbucks, and there was this young kid had an old Volkswagen Bug that wasn't, we'd gotten our coffee, and he was outside and he was having problems, and my grandfather had Volkswagen Bugs when I was growing up. And so I walked over to see if I could help him
Mm-hmm.
out, and I helped him kind of diagnose this thing. And so I ran into him, fast forward, I ran into him a couple days later at the same Starbucks. And he says to me, "Hey man, are you a biker?" And I laughed, because I'm wearing
Yeah.
the biker stuff and everything. I laughed. I said, "Yeah, I guess you could call me
Yeah.
that." And so we got talking, and long story
Mhm.
short, he was doing or planned to do a short film that was kind of like a Mad Max kind of thing, and he needed a group of rough
Oh,
looking,
nice.
he needed a group of rough looking
Yeah.
bikers. And so he says, "Do you know any bikers down here?" And I knew all kinds of people, and I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And
Yeah.
so I started kind of putting together a list of people that might be interested. Unfortunately, like a lot of things in show
Mhm.
business, um, the financing didn't come through. But from that moment, I
Right.
was like, you know what? There's something going on there. This guy just out of the blue, he saw something he wanted, and I've had that desire and stuff. And it's like, you need to start looking into this,
Mhm.
And so I started deep diving into it, and making connections, and I overcame that whole imposter. I still get that little voice once in a while, that imposter. So I think everybody does,
Right.
especially in the acting
Yeah.
show business. Whether you're, I know a lot of people that are in the production side of it. Directors and producers and stuff, and
Okay.
even they sometimes experience that whole imposter syndrome. And I just
Yeah.
think that's just self doubt. We all have it to certain
Mhm.
degrees. And like in my case, though, I have some baggage that went with it, some background, and so that kind of like really kind of amplified it, and I had to really struggle through that. But here I am now, man.
Mhm.
Things are starting to kind of look up finally.
No, for sure, man. No, for sure. And it speaks to the tenacity too of the dream, right? The dream could keep you in the fight for a long time, but it's really helpful to have people in your life that can help keep the dream alive.
Yeah,
And some people really get to a point to where they allow those who are more like who detract from your purpose and for your life, and they somehow keep those people in their lives, and it it seemingly fades away until they realize themselves that you know what, I need to reevaluate everything and distance myself from these individuals so that way I can really truly live and what my purpose is. And yes, you're an artist, but acting is something that you truly love to do.
mm.
The art of performance, the
Hmm.
art of creation. And I have to say, man, that when you had talked about doing like the puppetry, right? Was it finger puppets or just puppetry?
Hand puppets, hand puppets.
Hand
And
puppets.
yeah,
Yes,
and I
sir.
had a whole bunch of them laid out. I dip down, pull one off my hand, get another one worked on, and and I did voices for them all and
Awesome.
everything.
Yeah. No, you show talent early, man. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because one thing that I really love about an artist, an actual artist, right? That can be interpreted a certain way. To me, when I think of art where they like painting and drawing by hand, whether it's with a pencil, color pencil,
Yeah.
crayon, paintbrush. That type of art is what I'm speaking on. And I love the idea that you fully created your own world through the gift that you have of being an artist, on top of the gift that you have as being a performer. And so you were able to create original work from scratch for the entertainment of people, and that goes such a long way. And I'm willing to bet that that performer in you is still going strong. And speaking of which, and I know you're on an NDA, so I'm not gonna have you go too deep into it at all. But I know you've worked on projects. You got projects that you're going down the pipeline. So let's talk before we get into the kind of what you're working on. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you've worked on. That I'm sure you're proud of all your work, but is there some that of your projects that you've worked on film wise that I'm really proud of that, or oof.
Well,
Okay, that was a learning experience.
right. The most recent one, and you got to understand too. Everything has been, in the industry since the pandemic has kind of slowed down, and it's just kind of it's starting to refined its feet, and it's evolving because of things like AI and stuff like that. So the whole industry is in a evolution right now, and
Yes,
so
sir.
things are a little slow. But earlier this year, I did a project for a television series up in Canada, and you can find it on the internet. It's called When Paintings Come Alive, and it's kind of like it reminds you a little bit of Bob Ross. It's like a half-hour long show where they,
Yeah.
the host talks and tells stories or whatever, and during that, the painting in front of you comes alive.
Yeah.
Now the difference is with this show is, for instance, with my part of it, I was the first one they decided to do in this kind of format, was bring in a live actor and act out parts of it as the painting evolves. And so I played the part of a mid 1800s gold prospector. The episode is called Mighty Fraser River. So if a person goes on the internet, they can look up on YouTube When Paintings Come Alive, Mighty Fraser River, and you will find my episode there complete. But I acted out, of course, as part of the prospector, telling the story of my journey to the gold fields up in the Fraser River up in Canada. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was a bit of a nightmare to get going, actually, because the person who originally was going to film it for me, he bailed on me at the last second. And so here I am with a contract to do this for these people up in Canada. And I'm like pulling my hair out, almost literally, because I'm like, what am I going to do? And I have my youngest was recovering from leg injury, was in a rehabilitation center, and called me and said, "Dad, just bring your stuff over. We'll set my room up into a studio. I'll film it for you and direct you."
Nice.
And it was a wonderful experience. It became a family experience. And
yeah.
And people really like it. So that's probably my, I mean, I haven't been able to do a lot lately. I've been in a lot of talks on projects. And again, some of them, because of money issues, they either get dropped off or they're still waiting for that financing to come through. But I do have one that you alluded to that is kind of in the works right now, and it's real promising looking.
That's awesome, man. I'm sure that's a great feeling. It's got to be a great feeling when you're on the precipice of a project that's been greenlit but is in development. Whatever the phase is, it's still, this is looking like it's a for sure thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're excited to get on that set once everything is in stone.
Yeah, well, and also going back to one of your earlier points, you're talking about, people that a support system and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
I have a major one, and I'm going to give a shout out to him. I don't usually drop names or whatever. It's somebody that you're a mutual acquaintance with, I know. Tommy Morgan Jr.
Yeah.
Tommy Morgan Jr.
Oh, nice. Tommy Morgan Jr. My man.
We chat from time to time, and he has been a real blessing to me as I make my way through the minefields of this business. And I appreciate the heck out of him, and I just, I consider him something of a mentor, and and a brother, and a friend, and I just have to shout out. There's a lot of other people I can mention. I don't want to, sell anybody short, on this, and make them feel like, well, what about me? But I appreciate them all, but there's just too many people in the name. But he is the one I have to give a shout out to him. And if you can find yourself somebody like Tommy, who's real, who lifts you up and keeps you, when you're stepping into this industry and can help you out, what a blessing that is, let me tell you.
Yeah, I gotta add to that. Well, regarding Tommy. So Tommy, I reached out to Tommy because I wanted to pitch an idea for him to come on to the show, and ultimately he decided not to. But no harm, no foul there. He was just really busy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. It was just the schedules didn't necessarily align. And that's perfectly okay. But what he did in return, I think far exceeded him even coming onto the show. He asked for my number and he said, "Hey, let's set up a phone call." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And like in minutes, and his response time was just insane in a good way. And then he reached out to me on the WhatsApp, via WhatsApp, and then we spoke for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm like, you know what? No, that was so good. Let me show him some love. So I dropped the video and like made a little quick short video, posted it on my socials, and that was well received. And he took note of that and called me again. And then I think we spent another like 30, 45 minutes on the phone just talking. He also gave a good buddy of mine, Jose Pedrado Jr., he gave him the same respect because I had endorsed Tommy on my video, and Jose saw that endorsement and reached out to Tommy, and Tommy talked to him for 2 hours, and he talked to him periodically as well. So people like Tommy, who's been in the game for a long time, being able to just give you insight and give you knowledge is to be respected,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Because people like him, right? They don't have to do it.
No.
People who've seen the top, people who've been in that famous portion, people who've been in the industry, regardless of the fame status, but in particular with Tommy, who's been around it and still being able to look back and say, I'm not going to turn my back on people. I'm not going to forget where I came from. Let me at least help them out, at the very least,
Yeah.
with some knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And after I talk to him, I just feel like I'm walking on clouds, I mean, he has a way of lifting you up, right? And
Yes, sir.
I love the guy to death. And I can't wait to get back down to SoCal and hang out with him a little. That would be fun. But
yeah, that's actually my next question I wanted to ask you, right? Because when it comes to opportunities, and I was talking to a couple of my filmmaker buddies, right?
Mhm.
Some of them in which they don't live out in California, SoCal in specifics. Some of them live out here in
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, his name is Patrick Adapina. He's a filmmaker, and one of the things because I was going back and forth struggling really hard on, should I stay in this area because this is where my wife loves it here.
Mm.
My children seem to be acclimated with it. Or should we go back to California? This is where I spent the last almost 10 years of my life, and she's from California. But I can understand her perspective
Sure.
on she doesn't want to go back to where, she doesn't want to go back to it. For me, it was more dealing with show business because the opportunities are there. So then it became a matter of, how about we create opportunities where we are and see where it takes us? But I wanted to ask you, man, because you're in the business as well, between Southern California, Los Angeles in particular, which I know is the hub for filmmakers, for filmmaking as a whole, so nothing really can compare anywhere across the world. But what has your experience been with finding opportunities out in the Washington area in contrast to them being readily accessible in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I know that there are opportunities. It's just for me, it's hard to get to some of them because of my travel situation right now, personal situation.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
But we happen to be at least where I'm at, anyways. I'm in Bellingham. I'm right between two different film hubs: Vancouver, British Columbia, and Seattle, Washington. And so you'd think I'd be ideally placed, but I don't know, it's just, you in this day and age, you can make it just about anywhere you're at because of like this, right? The internet and stuff. Back in the day, you had to go, way back in the day, you had to go to like Los Angeles or New York, wherever, the hubs were. But now you can you can pretty much do it, from home. So, and where you're at, you're closer to the Seattle hub. There's more happening in Seattle than say up here where I'm at, So I think a person, shouldn't feel, somebody who's like in Boise, Idaho, for instance, or Spokane, Washington, or something.
Right.
You go, man, I really have this dream, but I'm so far away. I'm so far away from Los Angeles. Yeah, but you can make connections like I have through like LinkedIn, for instance. I've made all kinds of
Yeah.
connections there, including with yourself.
Mhm.
And
Yes, sir.
and it's amazing. Now, of course, the opportunities haven't quite presented themselves yet, but I'm being noticed, and I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is being authentic to self, and I mean, what
Yes,
you
sir.
see with me is what you get, man. I mean, this stuff is no put on. This is me, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of a character, anyways, and that's what people tell me, and I agree. But
Yeah. Nice.
but I mean, and be positive. Don't be negative. When you on these platforms, people notice this stuff, and be positive and try to have a positive. I mean, I realize people get down. I get down sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to remain positive when I'm out there because I want to be uplifting. There's so much negativity in the world, and and people notice that. They tell me one of the things we love about you is A, you're authentic, you're real, and
Mm-hmm.
B,
Yeah.
you're so positive. We feel uplifted when we see your posts or we interact with you. And, I want to be like Tommy in the sense that as things start happening for me, I want to give back too, and because
Yeah.
I understand the struggle, and I don't know, the whole positive aspect of it, just be positive. You can do it where you're at. You may eventually have to relocate. Now, I want to
Right.
eventually relocate just because I want to relocate. I've been in this area
Yes, sir.
pretty much all my life, and I need a change.
Mm-hmm.
I need a change of scenery.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I
Yeah.
love it here. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. I got my little animal buddies that come around. My deer, my rabbit come
Mhm.
out in the backyard. I talk to them, and I give them. I'm regular Snow White with that stuff.
Yeah. That is awesome.
But I want to go to other places, whether that's Los Angeles or wherever, and I'd like to be closer to the hub where I can be more involved day to day and stuff, whether it's, because there's so many activities going on,
Right.
I'm not talking about partying and stuff. I just mean, activities, like social
Yeah.
activities and stuff where you can meet people and
Yes, sir.
because it's also a big difference when
Yeah.
you get to meet them face to face, right? Even
Right.
as opposed to this right here, which is wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Which is wonderful that we have this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. I mean, I never dreamt of something like this when I was 17. It's like,
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm 62 now, man. So
Oh, you look good, man.
I
You look good.
try. Good genes, I guess.
Yes, sir. You got a nice smile too. That also helps. No, man, you're right. And like the opportunities, that's the biggest thing right there is you can create opportunities where you are. You just got to find the people. But
Yeah,
eventually you got to make your way to where it happens, especially in a more serious manner. Unless where you, so I'll take, for example, Tyler Perry, right? Tyler Perry, when he would go and grab actors from Los Angeles area, he would fly them out to Atlanta before he had a studio lot. Eventually, he decided, I'm going to create it where I am. I'm going to cast locally and kind of and go that route.
Mhm.
He still flies people out from Hollywood, of course. You still need those names to sell tickets, but he very much established himself where he was at. But that's typically not the norm. Many people don't operate that way, and many people don't have opportunities. Well, they have opportunities, but many people aren't in his financial bracket to
Yeah.
be able to create an abundance of opportunities on a day-to-day occurrence as he has been able to do. And so on that note, it is a matter of, okay, going to these social events in this particular circumstance, right? Social events, I think, are beneficial when you do it in person, but if that's not available and you have this, I think that also works. I've met many people like Tommy, like yourself, through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has been a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I will not lie on that. I've made a great deal of connections through LinkedIn that if I were to go to Los Angeles and call any of them on the phone, say, hey, I'm in LA, man. I'm in
Right.
LA. Hey, can we chill? Can we do something? Not go out and party like that, but let's just
Yeah,
meet up
yeah.
somewhere.
Let's go have
I'm sure it'd be
coffee
the
or
same case
something.
with
Go have
you.
lunch, and chat, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's funny, LinkedIn, I had my LinkedIn account. I've had it for about 7 years now, but it didn't start out as an actor's account. Back 7 years
Mhm.
ago, I was a licensed private investigator. And,
Oh,
oh
wow.
yeah, yeah. And, that's when I first created it was for that. But see, I was working for,
Mhm.
another investigator. That kind of fell through that
I
whole
see.
thing. And so I kind of forgot about my LinkedIn. And then, you
Yeah.
know, a year or so ago when I really started getting back into the acting bug bit me, uh, I was doing some
Mhm.
research because I love doing research. No matter, I'm a history nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do a lot of research and stuff.
Yeah.
And I uh, I learned about LinkedIn being something that in the acting realm, uh, it's something, something that they use. And I went, well, I already got an account, so I just kind of, I just morphed it. I just switched it over to being an acting, and
Yep.
boy, that thing just took off. Then,
Yep.
I didn't have a lot of acting stuff, like reels and stuff to put on there at the time, but I just posted what I felt meant something to me, being again, I was that authentic self. People got to see the real me and not just some reels, right?
Yeah.
And and most of my connections have come to me. I haven't gone to them, to get them to connect. I've had people in the
Mhm.
industry, big dogs and stuff coming in and, you know, and wanting to connect with me. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. Now if it just would turn into
Yeah.
something else. But
Yeah, for
LinkedIn,
sure.
yeah, LinkedIn, man, is like, that's how I've made it. Matter of fact, that one when paintings come alive role, I got that through LinkedIn.
Mhm.
The guy, the
Nice.
host and creator of the show saw a posting I did on LinkedIn. I did a series of what I call doppelgangers. And I
Yeah.
took different artworks I had found that kind of resembled me, but in different periods and different looks. And so I created some folders, and you can
Mhm.
still find them on my LinkedIn if you go back far enough in my images. And I had one for like fantasy, medieval, one for like, you know, um, uh, modern times, one for whatever. And
Mhm.
one of them I had was a gold prospector. This guy with a donkey
Yeah.
and a beard and white hair, white beard, and he had a red shirt on and stuff and hat. And this guy saw that, and he'd seen some of my other selfie videos where I'd talked, just kind of talked about things, and I talked about a buddy of mine in the army, that was I didn't know at the time was going to commit suicide, and I found out later I prevented it years later,
Mhm.
just by being me, by
Yeah.
talking with. And he saw stuff like that, and he goes, "I want that guy to be my gold prospector." And that's how I got that gig,
Nice.
man. And
That's
this
awesome,
other
man.
one that is kind of in the works right now. That's also through LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome, dude.
you can make things
That
happen
you
just through LinkedIn. Man,
Yeah.
so I encourage anybody
Yeah.
that's an actor, create a LinkedIn, and start putting
Mhm.
yourself out there and
Yep.
just be yourself on it. Don't play false because people can
Mhm.
tell. People can tell when
Yep.
you're not real, and be amazed the connections you'll
Absolutely.
make. You know.
No, for sure. It's a matter of putting themselves out there, and I think it can be really nerve-wracking, but I also think that if you can get over those nerves, or in fact, if you just say screw it and just do it and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So recently, right? A lot of my content revolves around me either showing like bits and pieces of my episodes, me giving like insightful like self-help type of guidance, me doing something in the creative space, or something that just deals heavily with like educating people or
Mm.
keeping them inspired. So overall, it's like an entertainment type of thing where I'm
Sure.
educating and inspiring them at the same time. But I decided, you know what? Yesterday, I felt like I want to try something. I'm going to record. I'm going to write because I'm a screenwriter also. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going to write just like one or two sentences, and I'm going to record it in two different takes. And in two takes, I'm going to two different versions of the
I
same
saw
sentence.
that. I
And
saw that.
oh,
Yes.
oh, nice.
Yes. Yes. I saw that. I
thank,
like
thank
that.
you,
That was really interesting.
thank you,
That was really interesting.
thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, I wanted to try something different because I had been speaking with a few people who wanted to become actors. They're jumping into the business. And one of the things that I had always learned in the auditions was to throw your personality into it. But also, if the scene causes for you, like if this right here says something along the line, well, right now it says, "Am I truly alive or just living?" Which is just a line from a book that I wrote.
Hmm.
Um, and if the casting director says, "Hey, the person's really angry here. I need you to show it to me." And most people would go and they would do their interpretation of being angry. But I think the more unique approach would be to not do it angry and maybe do it maybe confused, or do it from a place of sorrow, or maybe like a place that you're coaching somebody or parenting someone rather than being angry. And I think that approach is what really separates the actor from others that's going to do it the same way. And I learned that early on. So yesterday when I made that video, I decided I just want to try it two different ways, and I'm gonna send it to a few people who are kind of on the cusp of wanting to become an actor,
Hmm.
just to help them out. And it blew up
Yeah.
on my social medias. Blew up for me, not in like the high like millions or anything like that, but like I typically get around like hundreds to like a couple of thousand with views just based off of my content and the followership that I have. But I'm across like 23 different platforms, and but that one seemed to have caught fire, and because it was something that people generally haven't seen. For me, I used to be an actor as well, but it's not something that people typically see. They just see my company, which it encompasses actors as well. So eventually you're gonna, much like yourself, is when you're around it long enough, it's like, all right, I guess I can do something to put me back. And because the bug now is gnawing at me. And it's like, just, you have enough people that you are friends with, that you're connected with, that are doing what you love to do. Just do something.
Yeah.
And I just literally, I think I just said, screw it. I wrote something really quick, memorized it in a few minutes, and then I just did it. And then boom. And so now I'm like, oh, that was fun. I think I'm gonna do it again. But to your point, I think how you carry yourself and how you present yourself, especially through social media, in that aspect, opportunities come out of these things. And
Yeah.
I think that as long as the person continues to carry themselves in a manner in which they feel like they belong, then eventually opportunities will come for how they presented themselves.
Yeah.
That's all I
Yeah.
was getting at.
Well, yeah, I've got and speaking of opportunities, I have this one that's just presented itself in the last couple of weeks. And I can't really say too much about it, because it's in pre-production. I don't want to say anything that'll jeopardize it, for the people that are putting it together or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but it's a crime drama, and it's going to be filmed back east. That's where it's set, anyways. And it's a very I don't want to again say too much about the subject
Right.
matter or whatever, but it's a very timely subject matter that everybody's talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm just going to
Very
kind of
good.
throw a few little hints out there on that, and I'm not going to, even if you were to say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I know what it is," yeah, whatever. I'm just I'm not going to admit to it, but
Yeah.
it because I don't want to give anything away, but I've been doing conference calls with them, group calls,
Yes.
they've got a proof of concept video already filmed. They'll have to reshoot it. It's a pilot, but they'll
Nice.
reshoot it, a professional one. But it's a proof of concept. They have the show Bible, you might say, all put together, and I think it's got a
Hmm.
lot of potential. And they've approached me about playing a possibly recurring character. They already have like 2 or 3 seasons planned out. The spectrum of how it would go. And so if I was a
Yeah.
recurring character, I'd be playing in a couple of those seasons anyways. And I'm really excited about it. I want to see it come through, and so we're working on, and I'm working with them trying to get um, potential investors involved and everything. So if there's any producers or production companies out there that are interested, just reach out to me. I'll hook you up with them. But but
Yes, sir.
but
No,
yeah,
that's a
I mean, there, you got these prospects out there like that, and you know. There was something else I wanted to say about being yourself and being authentic and stuff. And I like Tommy Morgan helping people out and stuff. One thing that comes, that I try to do, and I feel uh it's an honest display when I do it, is I'll cheerlead, I'll clap for other people out there that are succeeding.
yep.
And
Yes,
I have
sir.
people like Tommy and others out there who are doing it for me, and it makes you feel good. It
Hmm.
lifts you up. But I do that for other people too, uh,
Hmm.
who are actors, especially when hey, I booked a role or whatever. Right on, or I know a lot of
Yep.
screenwriters. I've got my screenplay has won this award or that award. Right on, keep going. Keep going. Um, and
Right.
do that for other people. Don't, like you said before, don't forget where you came from. And because these people were there once too, and they're struggling. There's a lot of room for everybody. And don't be that person that's like, oh, I'm just, I'm just for myself. No, this is a group. This is a group thing. It's not just you can't do it.
Absolutely.
Can't do it by yourself. You got the production staff. You got this and that. You got the screenwriters. You got other actors. We're all in it together, man.
Hmm.
We gotta lift each other up, and
Oh,
so I
absolutely.
wanted I
And
wanted to make
I
that
wanted
clear.
to ask too. And that was beautifully said, by the way. You never forget where you came from. You want to always help people up the ladder
Yeah,
because you never know if you're going to need them on your inevitable fall.
yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
takes a fall at some
yeah.
point, and you need to
Well,
be picked back up on
this
your
whole
feet.
business, it goes through waves, popularity and stuff.
Mm.
We can't all be Brad Pitts, and even they have, you know, drop down and then come back up.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like that, and we need
Mhm.
each other, in this whole thing,
Sure. Yep. That's what I love about the community, right? Like having a community of people who are genuinely wanting to help and see others succeed. We all want to see each other succeed. We're all
Yeah,
trying to get to a place where we can help or we can create opportunities in the abundance for others. Like the true message behind what most people I would like to think want to do. Some people want to become famous for whatever reasons. Some people just want to make a lot of money for whatever their reasons are. But I think if the reasons are really pure and pure is interpreted, I don't know, it can be interpreted however it should be. But I think for me, when it comes to having some sort of status, some sort of credibility, is what can you do with that?
yeah,
How can you take what popularity you have and really shape and mold people to be better versions of
mm,
themselves, and for that to triculate across the world in a way that continues to help people. And that's I know through art forms like these films that is made, or through stories that is written through art. All of it ideally is in a form of expression, right? Like
right,
the painting on the back here of my wall here, my wife painted that at a time of her life where she wasn't really in the best place, but it helped her feel better. It was healing. And when you can look at the picture, you can look at it and say, oh, it's beautiful.
yeah,
And there's a sense of you feel something when you see it. You know, there's heart in art.
yeah,
And um
for sure,
man, I truly think that there's just power in this stuff that we're doing, man. There's a lot of power in it, and a lot of power and positivity as well. Some people kind of look down upon being optimistic, and I think that is okay. But for me, it's all a matter of keeping the good around you, and and negating the negativity that comes your way.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a real religious person. I have my views, but
Yes, sir.
one of the things I do each morning, or try to do first thing when I wake up, is I say a little prayer. and which I've shared on LinkedIn before. And I say, Lord, help me be a better man today than I was yesterday. And it's just a simple little thing, but
Yes, sir.
I think it's a powerful thing myself, and
Oh, it is.
and I try to be better each day than I was the day previous, and that's all I can do,
Yes, sir.
and whether that's helping other people out, in the industry, being a cheerleader for them, whatever, or just being me, just sharing whatever stories or pictures or whatever. I don't do it for the view counts, but I when I post something on there, I do it because it actually means something to me, and
Yes, sir.
people seem to like it, and it gives me
Yeah.
pleasure too. I mean, to bring a little
Yes,
cheer
sir.
into somebody's life and stuff, and that's one of the things I really want to
Right.
do with the acting. More is, I mean, I want to play all kinds of roles. I'm more of a character actor, and
Yep. Same.
and
Same.
yeah, and I think they're more fun, anyways. And I may never be an A-lister like Johnny Depp or somebody like that, but I mean, I'll have fun, and if people,
Yeah, you're in there.
yeah, and if people get enjoyment out of it, yeah, all the better, man. Fame, yeah, whatever. I've been kind of infamous in the past. So I'm ready for, the thing, one of the great things about this business for me personally, I talk about as a character actor, is because of my varied experience from high school to this point, the various different things I've done in my life. And I bring that into whatever I'm going to portray. I can reach into that. It's like a tool bag I have. Some of it was kind of ugly and bad, but I can, for certain roles, I can reach in and bring that out, and so it's a great thing. Even though I sometimes have that regret, and I don't dwell on it because we shouldn't dwell on regrets. But sometimes I have that regret that I didn't pursue the dream sooner. Because like I said, I'm 62, but people are like, "Oh man, you're still a young guy. You can still do it. No big deal." And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I wish I had done it sooner. But at the same time, I wouldn't have had all those experiences that I had that I could draw upon for
sure.
So
yes, sir.
Pros and cons to it all, I guess.
Nah, that's awesome.
It's just how you look at it and how you you use it and how you so yeah, just stay positive.
No, that's wonderful. Yeah, Terry. No, stay positive, man. And so I'll ask you, one last question before I let you go out of here is, for anybody, right, who is wanting to pursue a career as an actor or even as an artist in a world where there's so much AI going on, that might make it seem like, should I even do this? Even from an acting standpoint, because they're creating stuff that it can take away from performers too. Like, what is your advice to the younger generation who's seeing that and is being, you know what? I don't even think there's a place for me now. I might as well just stop. What's your advice to them?
Don't stop. Actors, I hear a lot of stuff. I see a lot of stuff, a lot of conversations about AI in acting and in movies and stuff like that, and how it's going to, I can see some aspects where it's going to, maybe be a downer for certain actors, especially voiceover. I mean, it's already being kind of used in that direction. I did a little bit of voiceover work myself and everything, but, and especially with, it's recently in the news about certain actors who signed contracts for lending their voice to AI, and it's got everybody really talking about it and stuff. But I don't know. To me, there's just as far as the acting part of it is, stay with it. Don't give up that dream. AI, AI is just going to be another tool. Just like CGI and other stuff, the business had to, it hasn't stayed the same since the silent era. They when they first came into the silent era, it was basically you were watching theatrical stage productions on film. That's how it started out pretty much, and magician tricks and stuff like that being worked out on the screen. You watch some of these old films from the silent era, but then it evolved and it continued to evolve through the ages, and it's still evolving. And I don't personally think AI is going to take over and completely kick out the human element. I just don't see it.
Right.
As far as artwork goes, man, I play around with AI a little bit. Sometimes I'll admit for certain artistic things, but those are just for me. Those aren't something that I would put out there as an example of my creativity. Because while the ideas came from me, I instructed it. It wasn't actually me drawing it out. I do that mainly to explore certain looks, of character. Like, if I'm going to play this role, how would I kind of look in that role?
Right.
But again, there's the human element. There's the soul. And I could get real mystical about it and everything. As an artist, man, the whole, the soul of it. That's the Bohemian part of me, man. You got, but, I mean, it's people can tell, really, people are pretty smart, actually. They can tell when something is created AI as opposed to the individual, and the individual has soul. It has soul, man. There's just whether it's that work behind you that your wife did, which I love, man. I love like abstract kind of art and everything. I do all kinds of art. I drew everything from pencil and pen and ink to watercolors in the past. I explore all different. I've carved wood. I've done metal art with scrap metal and welded it together and stuff, and made like scorpions out of it and stuff like that. And I'm really wanting to get into exploring what I call the chaos of my mind, which is abstract art. And
You should do it.
But I mean, it just there's that human. I just don't know quite how to put it, but that human aspect, whether it's acting or now there are people out there, who watch the vertical format on the YouTube or whatever, excuse me, and see a little video that somebody's put together that's all AI, but there's something missing from it. There's always something kind of missing, and it's that human element. And I don't care who it is, there's going to always be a big audience out there for the human side of telling stories. I mean, I don't know if you ever experimented as a writer with AI, like, let's see how AI, I tried that once. I tried that because, I'll do some creative writing and stuff. So I thought, what's all this brouhaha about, So I put it in there just to see what would happen. Oh my word. I just couldn't get, I couldn't feel it. I couldn't get into it, man. It was like, I don't know, it's like, there's just, it lacks that human quality, creativity, that creative spark that we have, and that soul.
I agree.
And so, don't give up, man. If you're out there and you're young and you're like, I really want to do it, but this AI said, forget it. Ignore that. Just do what you feel called to do, man. And just there will be an audience out there for it. And I just don't think in the area of creativity, I don't think AI is ever going to surpass the human part of it. Our part of it, the humanity, the creativity, the soul. I don't think AI will be in other areas of life, and it already is. But I just don't think as an artist he'll ever surpass. You watch some of the great actors out there on stage or in film, and I just don't see it in AI. I don't see it. Maybe one day, but not right now. Not at this time.
Not anytime soon. No, sir.
And personally, myself, I don't want to be one of these people that gets drawn into that as far as allowing my image, my voice to be used in AI, because then I lose control over myself, over.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I know there's going to be some people out there in the industry go, oh, he's one of those. But yeah, I am. I'm one of those, man. I'm all about the human
No,
creativity.
me too.
So
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the idea of selling my voice for it to be used and however it needs to be used for financial purposes that would exceed any compensation that I could have received had we collaborated. It's like a way for studios to save money and make money off of your voice without you making any money.
It's definitely a way for certain studios or certain individuals to save costs, because then they don't have to they wouldn't have to pay the actor, each time, or give them any kind of financial like royalties or anything like that, and
right.
I just you can get me down a whole
It's
rabbit hole on that, man.
Nah, hey, but hey, I'm glad it was brought up because it's some good points, man. But before I close this out, man, I really appreciate you coming on, Terry. Any closing remarks before I let you go?
Well, if anybody wants to know where to find me, you can find me on either LinkedIn or on IMDb under T.E. Terry Holmes, which is my professional name. I go by Terry, but yeah, for professional purposes. But yeah, just I would say just stay positive. Stay positive, in the journey. Sometimes you're going to have I have dark moments sometimes where you're just like, man, things just don't seem to be happening. And all of a sudden they start picking up or whatever. Yeah. And, I was told more than once, even recently, but when I first got into this thing, they said, man, you've got, for me personally, they said, you've got a look and a personality and stuff that they're looking for. It's going to happen. And when it does, strap in, buddy, because it's going to happen fast. And so, you might be struggling with it. Stay with that struggle. Don't let it bring you down. Stay positive. It's going to happen one day. It's going to happen. And we'll all have different varying levels of success and everything. But, and maybe one day I'll see you out there on the red carpet when I'm out there. And,
Yes, sir.
And
yeah.
And just,
I'll see you
just
on the
stay
carpet.
positive and just lift everybody up, and and don't be a Debbie Downer, man.
Yeah, that right there. Don't be a Debbie Downer. Hey, that's a perfect way to end the show, man. Thank you, Terry, so much for coming on board. Thank you for your time. I'm glad that your family's doing well.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone who listened through this episode was able to take away some things from it. My biggest takeaway is follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Just stick with it. If it's meant for you to have it, even if you take time away, it'll somehow find its way back into your life.
Yes.
And if that's not the indicator that you should definitely stick with it, then I don't know what it is.
All right, yes, Osiris.
Hey, well,
it was good talking to you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you all again.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you bet.
You're live with Osiris. T.E. Terry Holmes. We'll catch you next time. Take care.